شيخ حاج شيخ الفيديو
مالتي انا عفوا.
اقدر اسوي بين؟
اسوي له ديسيبل من يمك.
اوكي اسوي له بين حول فيديو. شيخ حاج
لحظة أنا راح
يمك أنت. أوكي وين راح؟ ما أجي أشوف الاسم. شيخ
وأنت راح أسوي كوست.
here we go. هذا أحسنتم.
زين وبلش ها.
أوكي حاولت على اليوتيوب. اوكي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. جمعية الكوثر الإسلامية من فانكوفر كندا ترحب بكم، ورمضان كريم على الأخوة والأخوات. ونرحب بالأخ الفاضل الشيخ خالد الذي هو معنا الآن من حرم الإمام الحسين عليه السلام من مدينة كربلاء المقدسة من العراق. إن شاء الله برنامجنا راح يكون مع محاضرة باللغة الإنجليزية لسماحة الشيخ خالد. بعد ذلك إذا الشباب يحبون يكون أسئلة وأجوبة راح يكون المايك مفتوح لكم. أنا راح أسوي ميوت لكل المايكس وبعدين إن شاء الله الشيخ خالد راح يفتح المايك.
أستاذنا عفوا مولاي العزيز.
نعم شيخ
محمد، إحنا إن شاء الله بعد المحاضرة إذا يحبون ندخل للضريح نسوي زيارة ولو يعني
إن شاء الله. هذا
يعني
ضروري، هذا فشي مهم يعني إذا تقدر شيخنا. أوكي أحسنتم. أنا راح أسوي ميوت للجميع أخوان. اوكي شيخنا تقدر تسوي ميوت اني ميوت للمايك اللي عندك؟ يس
نعم
تفضل شيخ.
يا الله يا الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، وافضل الصلاه واتم التسليم على نبينا محمد وعلى اهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. In the name of God, the merciful, the beneficent, all prayer and praise due to the Prophet Muhammad and his holy household. First and foremost, I would like to share my congratulations and my warmest and most heartfelt happiness and joy for the approaching month, the month of Ramadan. Today is the first of Ramadan here in Najaf, in Karbala, in Iraq. It's the first of Ramadan, and we have been blessed with the opportunity to give the lecture from the shrine of Imam Hussein, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, which is directly to my left. When we are talking about the fasting and the concept of fasting and the concept of Ramadan, it goes without saying that the most important source for that is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi after the Quran. Now, the reason I mentioned the Prophet Muhammad first and then the Quran is because he is the one who revealed to us the Quran. And the Prophet in fact says, I have been granted the Quran and with it is equal, which is the Sunnah of the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt. And that is important because they are the ones that explain the Quran to us. How, for example, when we come to the ayah which speaks about ablution, this verse speaks about ablution and we can see the difference of opinion in it. However, when you come to the Ahlul Bayt, they make it clear. Same thing with fasting. We read in the Quran speaks about fasting. The Quran says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O you who believe, kutiba alaykum as-siyama kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum. O you who believe, indeed, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it has been prescribed upon those who were before you. Then it says, على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. لعلكم تتقون, so that you may guard yourself against evil, so that you may ward yourself against evil. There's a few points we can take into consideration here. Number one, the first point is this nida, this call out. O you who believe, O you who have faith. Does that mean that fasting is only for us? Because when I call upon you, when I say, oh you Shi'i, oh you Sunni, oh you Muslim, oh you Iraqi, oh you Kennedy, okay, oh you Iraqi, Canadian, when I call upon you through a description, through an attribute, such as being done here. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O you who have faith, O you believers, O you who have believed. Indeed, fasting has been prescribed upon you. كتب عليكم الصيام الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم. So this here is addressing us. Why? Because it's trying to tell us that if you claim to be believers, then listen well, pay attention, that this address is for you. What is this address? That fasting has been prescribed upon you. Now, one of the reasons that the Quran speaks to us in this sense is it tries to apply that concept of faith, that concept of belief, that concept where it wants you to look into your soul, into your heart, into your spirituality. And it tells us this is a prescription. This is something that Allah has decreed upon you. Therefore, because you are a person of faith, obey. And hence, it tells you another thing, or not hence, sorry. And then it carries on to tell you another thing, that this is not only prescribed upon you, this has also been prescribed upon those who have come before you. Those who have come before you, whether it be Christians, Jews, non-believers, other communities that we don't know about, nonetheless, fasting is something that has been carried out throughout religious history. Of course, when I say religious history, that means from Adam till today, from the beginning of time. Fasting has been a way of worship. So it tells you, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, kutiba alaykum as-siyam. Fasting has been written upon you, prescribed upon you, as it has been prescribed upon those before you. Yes, siyam is something difficult. Siyam, you have to refrain from a lot of things. But this is not only you. The nations before you have also done this. This is a form of coexistence, of community, of union within the religions. Then it says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So that you might guard yourself against evil. So that you might be God conscientious. So that you might become pious believers, guarding yourself. Why? Brothers and sisters, this goes back to all of our actions. All of our actions are for what? Are for our benefit. All of our actions are to benefit us, to move us forward. It moves us forward how? It moves us forward because it applies within us the concept of spirituality. It applies within us the concept of uplifting oneself. Uplifting oneself. Indeed, when you look into the concept of prayer, what do we read in the Quran about prayer? That inna salat, indeed, prayer, tanha an al-fahsha'i wal-munkar. It drives away, it helps you push away mischief and evil and what is wrong. However, we see within ourselves and we see within the people around us, a lot of people pray and still commit mischief. A lot of people pray and still do wrong things. Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi used to pray, but he was one of the biggest mass murderers in Islamic history. Yazid ibn Muawiyah used to pray, but he used to pray Salat al-Subh, 4 rak'ah, and he was drunk. You have, who else but Umar ibn Sa'd? Umar ibn Sa'd in Karbala, on this very land that I'm standing on, prayed on the day of the 10th of Muharram or Ashura, and so did Imam al-Hussein. However, Umar ibn Sa'd's prayer did not stop him from committing the oppression of the martyr of Imam al-Hussein, of killing Imam al-Hussein, while Imam al-Hussein's prayer stopped him from going to war against them. When Shimr ibn the Joshan came to the Imam and he insulted the Imam, Muslim ibn Awsa just said, Yabna Rasulullah, give me permission. I can strike him with an arrow from here. The Imam told him, no, I do not wish to start the bloodshed between us. But then when they began, when the arrows came showering upon Imam Hussein and his companions, the Imam then said to them, Qumu, stand up and go to war. These are the messengers to you. These are the messengers that are calling you to battle. So we see the difference in application of prayer here. The one application is telling you that you don't have to follow. Yeah, sure, you are praying, but you're just simply standing up and sitting down. It is not affecting you. While the other form, it has a different understanding. How does it have a different understanding? The different understanding comes in the concept of it applies within you. It has an effect on you, spiritually and physically. We find this in the Quran, where Allah says, فَخَلَفَ مِن بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْقٌ أَضَاعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ أَضَاعُوا الصَّلَاةِ وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ. And there they succeeded them, a later generation who ruined prayer, who forgot about their prayer, and they followed their lusts. Brothers and sisters, one way we can consider our actions, whether it be prayer, whether it be siyam, whether it be salat, or zakat, whether it be khums, all of our obligations, one way we can consider them is a way of warding off what is wrong. Not only that, a way of getting something for nothing. And that's essentially what it is. It's that you are getting the hereafter for a few moments a day, or a few days a year, or a few years within your lifetime. What do I mean by that? If we were to take our actions, all of our actions, our salat, our siyam, our zakat, our hajj, how much of that, or how much time do they take? The first one, salat. How long do you spend doing salat al-dhuhr and salat al-asr? If you are slow and you sit there and you recite and you pronounce every single word, like some of the scholars, it might take you 10 minutes. It might. I'm not saying it will, I'm saying it might. But if you're like me and you're always busy and you're in a rush, then it might take you less than 5 minutes. It might take you less than 3 minutes. But is the effect the same? What you put in, you get out. Is the effect the same? However, that's not the main goal or the main point. The main point is that prayer. How much time will it take of your day? In turn, of you get heaven. Nonetheless, when we look at this verse, it says, and then they were succeeded by a later generation who lost the prayer. And what happened? And followed their lust. One of the brothers, he put a beautiful analogy for this. He said, imagine your prayer is a dam. You know, a dam that they built, a dam like a water dam, like the Hoover Dam, for example. And that lust is the water that this dam is holding back. What happens if you stop repairing the dam, if you stop maintaining that dam, and it breaks and all of the water rushes down? That is essentially what is happening here. Once that water rushes in, it's extremely difficult to try to stop it. Once you allow your lust to take over and you refrain from the prayers, it becomes a lot harder for you to gain control. Going back to our original point. Our original point spoke in regards to Muhammad, in regards to the concept of siyam. When we look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his lecture, in his final lecture, or in his lecture approaching Ramadan, the Prophet says, وَمَنْ وَصَلَ فِيهِ رَحِمَهُ وَصَلَهُ اللَّهُ بِرَحْمَتِهِ يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. This is going to be a two-part lecture, inshallah. The first part is we will talk about reaching your next of kin. Reaching your next of kin. The Prophet here says, and whomever reaches out, tries to connect, stays in contact and connects with their next of kin or their nearest of kin, Allah shall reach them with mercy on the day of judgment. Then the second part, وَمَنْ قَطَعَ فِيهِ رَحْمَةً قَطَعَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ رَحْمَتَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. And he who severs the bonds and the ties between him and his kin, Allah shall sever his mercy from them on Judgment Day. There's a few points that we need to look into over here. Number one, the concept of reaching and disassociation, of association and disassociation, of connecting and severing to your kin. Who are your kin? Your kin are those that are close to you, such as your parents, your immediate family, mother, father, sister, brother, wife, husband, child, daughter, son, then followed by your uncles and aunts and grandparents, then followed by your cousins and so on and so on and so forth. It expands and narrows. So when you say your nearest of kin, that could mean your immediate family. But then when you are sitting in a tribal scene, your nearest of kin would be your general family. And when you're in Canada, for example, your kin would be the other Iraqis, so on and so forth. Here, the Prophet is talking about those whom you have a blood connection to. Your parents, your cousins, your nephews, your wife, and your family. Those are your kin. Sila in Arabic comes from the word connection, to connect between two things, that connects between two things. This here is referring to the relationship that you have with your brothers and sisters, with your cousins and nephews, with your nieces, with your daughters, with the connection that brings you guys together. We find in the Quran makes this obligatory and refers to this obligation. How it says in Surah Al-Nisa, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا, and worship your Lord and associate nothing with him. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and be dutiful unto your parents. Then it says وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى, and your nearest of kin. Now, the Quran here separates these two. It puts your parents in a category and your next of kin in a second category. We'll put a pin in that. Our next verse says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَالَّذِينَ يَنْقُضُونَ عَهْدَ اللَّهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ مِيثَاقِهِ, and those who break the covenant of Allah after they have confirmed it, after its confirmation. وَيَقْطَعُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلَ, and they sever that what Allah has commanded to be joined. وَيُفْسِدُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ, and they cause corruption on earth. أُولَٰئِكَ, they shall have a curse from their Lord. أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ اللَّعْنَةُ وَلَهُمْ سُوءَ الدَّارِ, they have damnation and condemnation, and they have the worst of residency in the hereafter, or the worst of place where they will turn to. In another verse, الذين ينقضون عهد الله من بعد ميثاقه ويقطعون ما أمر الله به أن يوصل ويفسدون في الأرض أولئك هم الخاسرون, and those who rebuke and who sever and who disobey the covenant that they made with Allah, and they refuse to follow Allah's covenant, and they get asunder that what Allah has commanded to be joined, they are corrupt. They are the ones who cause corruption on earth, and they shall be the losers of the hereafter. They are the losers. Brothers, Afwan Maulana, how much time do we have left? We have about 5 minutes left, inshallah.
Looking about 5 minutes only, sir. 5 minutes.
Inshallah. Nonetheless, the concept of kin and the concept of immediate family. The Quran here describes those individuals. By the way, the Quran here, when it says وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى in the first verse. It says, وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى. The Qurba are the kin. In another one, it says, it does not refer to the next of kin. However, Allah says, وَمَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَى. And that what Allah has commanded to be enjoined. Meaning how? Meaning what? Meaning Allah has commanded you. What did Allah command you to enjoin and to connect to? Your nearest of kin. In the third verse, the same thing. مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَى. And Allah commanded you to do wasl between you and your nearest of kin. In the narrations, it says, a man from the family of Khath'am came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, and he said, Ya Rasulullah, akhbirni ma afdal al-Islam. Inform me, what is the best of Islam? What is the best thing in Islam? Or what can I do? What can I do that is the best condition in Islam? The Prophet says, قال صلى الله عليه وآله الإيمان بالله, faith in Allah. Then the man asked, and then what else? What comes next? The Prophet says, صِلَةُ الرَّحْمِ, connecting, reaching your nearest of kin. Inshallah, we will end on this note for today, and we will continue with our next episode. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu ala Muhammad wa alihi الطيبين الطاهرين.
أحسنتم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. شيخنا أنت وعدتنا أن تكون زيارة داخل الضريح، ما أدري إذا أمكن.
أنا بخدمتكم. Do you have any questions and answers before then?
I'm going to open the mic for everyone if they have any questions. Just one sec. أوكي، كل واحد الأخوة الأخوات إذا عندكم سؤال ممكن توجهوه للشيخ، حتى تكون بعد ذلك راح تكون زيارة مباشرة من داخل الضريح. إذا ماكو حتى نبلش بالزيارة. ممكن تفتحون المايك من يومكم الآن، كل واحد يقدر يفتح المايك. Everyone could open, turn his mic on if you guys have any questions. Obviously, those who are on the YouTube, we cannot communicate with them. Okay, I think we should go ahead with the ziyarah, Sheikhana. Oh. You could unmute it, Sheikhana, your mic. Sheikh Khalid. You could
تسمعني مولانا؟
سمعك هسه شيخنا. اوكي تمام.
ان شاء الله. اطلب منكم ان شاء الله انه تدعونا وتدعون الوالدين ان شاء الله ولاهلي والاقارب، وانا كذلك ان شاء الله.
احسنتم شيخنا. احسنتم، جزاكم الله خير. Okay, so everyone, we're going inside the haram right now.
يقولون يطلبون من عندكم الدعاء لهم كذلك.
احنا نحتاج دعاء.
الغريب مستجاب يقول السيد.
احسنتم سيدنا، حياكم الله.
الله يحفظكم.
حياكم الله. نسألكم الدعاء والزيارة. So we are going inside the haram, everyone, inshallah, for ziyarah.
يا الله يا الله يا الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Ya Allah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So we are entering from the side of the head of Imam al-Hussein salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. Brothers and sisters, this is the burial ground of Imam of Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam in that corner. And this is the qubba where your dua is accepted.
This is as is said in the poem له قبة له تربة فيها الشفاء وقبة يجاب فيها الداعي إذا مسه الضر. These are the companions of the Imam. Companions. This is Habib ibn Madahir al-Asadi, the leader of the companions, who was buried all by himself, all on his own. This is the one who the Imam says, Habibuna Habib. He is the one who stood and he would weep. And the Imam would say to him, he says, Ya Habib, why do you weep? Did you remember your family? He says, no, my Lord. I have replaced my family with yours and with my place with your place. He says, then why do you cry? He says, this lady that's standing at the door of the tent is the one that made me weep. The Imam looked and it was Sayyidah Zainab. So she said to him, she says, Habib, why did I make you cry? He says, when I saw you, I remembered the word of my Mawla, Ali ibn Abi Talib, where he describes how you entered Kufa on the back of a bony, skinny camel. Allah, inshallah, I ask Allah to say would you بارك الله فيكم جميعا. تسمعني مولانا ان شاء الله؟
نعم نسمعك شيخنا احسنتم نسمعك.
Brothers and sisters, this spot here where we see after the behind the cage, this here is one of the places that is considered different from all the other places, where this is the only place, if you are traveling, only here in Masjid al-Kufa, if you are traveling, you are permitted to do either Salat Qasr or Salat Tamam. In this area, from here to the end of that wall, those about approximately 20 meters. So as is customary, don't give the Imam our back. Because although he might be buried, he can still see what we see, and he can still hear what we say and answer us when we call on to him. Hence we always say, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. And we expect that he answers us. We expect him to say, Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. مولانا تمرون بعد.
احسنتم شيخنا جزاكم الله بخير. واقعا
هذا نروح هنا نشوف الشباب المنحر الشريف ان شاء الله.
احسنتم ان شاء الله. Okay.
Brothers and sisters, we're walking now to the place that is said to be the place where the Imam was actually killed. The spot where the Imam was actually beheaded. It's called the place of Manhar. And it's always decorated in red. This is the area where it's believed or it is said that the Imam was killed. It's called Al-Manhar al-Sharif. The distance between it and the Imam is approximately 10 to 15 meters of where the Imam is currently buried. I ask Allah to accept our dua and I apologize for any shortcomings, inshallah.
احسنتم بالعكس شيخنا جزاكم الله بخير. احسنتم جزاكم الله بخير. احسنتم حياكم الله. ان شاء الله see you tomorrow ان شاء الله شيخنا.
Inshallah, we will see you tomorrow, inshallah.
احسنتم شيخنا وما نسيتونا بالدعاء.
بعد اتفقنا قبل المحاضرة.
لا بعد موفقين ان شاء الله. لا تنسانا عندنا مريض محتاج دعاء.
يعني هسه شلون هسه ارجع ادخل للامام ادعي لك؟
لا وانت
لا
مكانك
شيخنا
الامام
احسنتم
يسمعك
ان شاء الله.
مكانك. عندنا مرضى
من هنا
حقيقة
يعني
محتاجين
من هنا
إلى
توصل؟
دعاء.
يا الله يا الله، على راسي راح ادخل ادعي لك دعاء خاص.
أحسنتم رحم الله والديك. في أمان الله، إلى اللقاء إن شاء الله.
أحسنتم شيخنا، حياكم الله
الله
فينا.
يوفقك شيخ خالد.
اوكي
الله
جعفر،
يبارك
جعفر بعد it's all yours.
لا خلاص
صور.
خلاص. Okay, أحسنتم. Brother and sister, we are done for the tonight program. Inshallah, we'll see you after iftar for the Arabic program.